everyone, welcome to Online Study for You, one step solution for all your placement needs. So guys, as InfyTQ exam is approaching, in this video we are going to do the discussion of important MCQs of DBMS and Python for InfyTQ. Right, so make sure to watch the complete video. This video is definitely going to be very helpful for all the students preparing for InfyTQ, right? Also make sure to subscribe our YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet. This channel is definitely going to be very helpful for you. Also, do subscribe our new YouTube channel, that is Online Study for You Jobs. This channel also has various useful content which is going to be helpful for you. So make sure to subscribe both our YouTube channels. Just a quick reminder that do install our Online Study for You app. Link for the app is given in the description itself. So do install. This app has lots of resources from which you can learn and you can ace your placement exam. So let's start with the questions. Online Study for You has helped many students to get placed, but now it's your turn. So be a part of our 21 days InfyTQ aptitude crash course, which we are offering in just rupees 149, so that you all can afford and you all can ace your Infosys exam. The starting date is 15th of March to 3rd of April and timing is 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. It will be live classes and recording will be available for 3 months to you. That is going to be an advantage, right? So make sure to join us at our live class. Happy learning! Not only this, we are offering a 21 days InfyTQ programming crash course at just rupees 249, so that you can prepare your programming section very well. So make sure to join us at 21 days InfyTQ programming course, right? The timing is 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. for this class. So do join. Link is provided in the description itself. Happy learning! So let's start with the DBMS questions first. So the first question is, locked information is managed by dash, which is responsible for the assignment and policing the locks used by the transaction. First of all, if you want to check yourself that how clear your DBMS concepts are, so what you can do, just before I give the answer, pause the video, comment your answer, then resume the video and check whether what you answered is correct or not. So this is the strategy you can follow to check out that what is your level and how much you are able to score in this video questions, right? So what is the correct answer for this particular question? The correct answer for this question is lock manager, and I hope most of you have got the same answer, that lock information is managed by lock manager, which is responsible for the assignment and policing the locks used by the transactions. Next question is, which of the given options is used to maintain transactional integrity and database consistency? What technology does a DBMS deploy? So now they are asking for the technology used to maintain transactional integrity and consistency. So you must be knowing that concurrency is a facility provided in the database. Now along with that, we have to maintain the database consistency also, so that there is no corrupted data. For this, what do we use? So we use locks for this purpose, right? So locks help the database to maintain transactional integrity and database consistency. I hope this question also you got correct. Also, after the completion of this DBMS questions and Python questions, do comment that how much you scored in DBMS part and in Python part, right? So next question is, a system is said to be in dash if there exists a set of transactions such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction in the set. So this is the condition of deadlock. When deadlock occurs, when a set of transactions, suppose we have transaction T1, T2, T3. So when a set of transactions is waiting for another transaction in the set, T1 is waiting for T2, T2 is waiting for T3, T3 is waiting for T1, and this is how it is going. So this condition lead to deadlock, right? And due to deadlock, nothing, no process, no transaction can move further. So the correct answer for this question is deadlock. That a system is said to be in deadlock if there exists a set of transactions such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction. Next question is, we can change the deadlock state, can be changed back to stable state by using. So deadlock state, what is the scenario, what is the situation, what is the statement that we can use to change the deadlock state back to stable state? Suppose we got to know that if we will do this particular operation, so if we will do this particular operation, it can lead to deadlock, or it has lead to deadlock. So what statement we can use to get back to our stable state? Comment down your answer, guys. So the correct answer for this question is rollback. We can roll back from this particular operation so that we can return back to our stable state, right? Let's move to the next question. Which of the given property follows all or none? So guys, when you are preparing for DBMS part, some topics are very important. For example, transaction is very important, especially when it comes to transaction properties. So what are transaction properties? They are also known as asset properties. A stands for atomicity, C stands for consistency, I stands for isolation, and D stands for durability. So make sure when you are preparing for the InfyTQ test from database, make sure to study about transaction and its properties. Okay, so this question is from transaction and its properties itself. So they are asking that which of the given properties follows all or none. So let me tell you about atomicity. See, whenever you will do a transaction, either it will be completed to and or won't be completed at all. There is no partial state exist for transaction. No partial state. How you can understand this? For example, you are doing a transaction, you are making a payment. So either your payment will be successful, or nothing will happen, or the payment will be unsuccessful. It won't be like this कि आपके account से पैसे कट गए but अभी payment नहीं हुआ. So this partial thing won't happen, right? इस तरीके का कुछ नहीं होगा. So this is what I want to see. So this is the property of atomicity from transaction. So now you can easily get the answer that all or none. So which property follows all or none? Atomicity, right? So the correct answer for this question is atomicity. Let's move to the next question now. That which of the given attribute can uniquely identify a row in a table? So you all know that primary key is helped in identifying each row or tuple in a table. So see, row is also known as tuple. So instead of row, if they are giving tuple, so don't get confused. Don't say that I don't know what is tuple, right? So row or tuple, they both are similar. Okay. So we know that primary key is used to identify a row in a table, but in the option they haven't mentioned primary key. Can you see they have mentioned primary key? No, right? So then what should be the correct answer? So before this, you must be aware of a concept that you should be aware of the concept that a candidate key is a primary key. So from the given database, we have one, two, or three candidate keys. For example, let us suppose out of them, only one key is considered as primary key, right? So what we can understand by this, that the correct answer for this one is going to be candidate key. That candidate key can uniquely identify a row in a table. Let's move to the next question now. A dash is a special kind of a store procedure that executes with respect to certain action on the table, like insertion, deletion, or updation of data. So what is the correct answer for this one? Trigger, right? So make sure to study about triggers also. They are also very important for sure in the exam, or with respect to exam also, and in interviews also. Most of the time they can ask you about triggers and stored procedures, so make sure to just have a look on them once, right? So a trigger is a special kind of a stored procedure which is automatically called, right, which is called whenever any sort of operation like insertion, deletion, or updation is performed. So the correct answer for this one is trigger. Next question is, we declare variables in the trigger using. So the correct answer for this is @, that we use @ to declare variables in the trigger. So the correct option is option B. Okay, I hope the questions that we have discussed till now all are clear to you. Next question is, which operation of the following makes the transaction permanent in the database? See, Once you have made the data permanent in the database, further change is not allowed, right? So which operation do we use to make the data in the database permanent? So commit. Commit is the operation that we use, or commit is the statement that we use to make the transaction permanent in the database. Okay, so commit and rollback, all these are very important operations, so make sure to go through them. Okay, next question is, which database language is used to define the structure of the relation, deleting relations and relating schemas? So which database language help in defining the structure of the relation and deletion and relation of the schema? So data definition language. Data definition language is helps in doing so. Also the data definition language commands are committed commands, right? So once they are done, you cannot make any sort of changes. Okay. So the correct answer is data definition language is used to define the structure of the relation. Okay. So these were the 10 questions for DBMS. Make sure to comment that how many of them you got the right answer. Give your marks in the comment section. Okay. Now we will move to the Python part. So this is the first question. The following Python code is valid or not? So they have given BCD equal to 1, 2, 3. Print BCD. So yes, this is totally valid. What we are doing, what does this statement means, that we are assigning b equal to 1, c equal to 2 and d equal to 3. So if you will do print b comma c comma d, so what answer we are going to get? 1, 2, 3. So this is the answer we are expected to get, right? So the given Python code is for sure valid. Next question is, list can be made keys of a dictionary. So this is false, right? See, we can make only those elements or only those data structures as the keys of dictionary which are hashable, right? But we know that lists are not hashable. Lists are not hashable. If in case of list they have given us tuple, that tuple can be made keys of a dictionary, so this is correct because tuple is hashable, right? So that's why this particular question, the answer is going to be option B, that is false. Now this is some kind of tricky or strange question, that what is the output of the given statements. So if you will do print bool of blank space, right, and print bool of false, right? So the false here is a string. So what should be the output for this particular given statements? So this one is going to give us false. I know this can be surprising for you. So you can try it in PyCharm or any other IDE, right? You can try it by yourself. So this is going to give you false and this will give you true, right? So this is the correct answer for this particular question. So the questions are going to be easy but somewhat tricky. So if your concepts are not clear, for sure you are going to make the mistakes, right? So make sure to be clear about the concept. Make sure to watch the complete video and do subscribe our channel and do install our online study for you app. The next question is, which of the given options are correct about Python? It supports automatic garbage collection. Yeah, that is true. That it supports automatic garbage collection. So here in case of Python, you don't have to worry about memory leakage and all sort of things because Python will take care of that. In like the same thing happened in other languages like a C++ or Java also. You have to take care of this when you are doing dynamic memory allocation and all. But here in Python, it supports automatic garbage collection, so it will take care of this. Next, they have given Python is easily integrated with C, C++, COM, ActiveX, Corba, and Java. So that is also correct. We can easily integrate Python with other programming languages. Yeah, that is why Python is most used and trending today. So both the given options are correct. So the correct option for this one is going to be both of the above, that both the given options are correct. Next question is, which of the following statements is wrong about inheritance? Make sure to go through Python OOPS, Python functions, basic operations regarding Python, right? So Most of the questions are going to be asked from this only. So here some statements are given that you have to determine that which of the following given statements is wrong. So the protected members of a class can be inherited. Yes, that is valid. See, protected members of a class can be inherited, but private members cannot be inherited. Okay. The inheriting class is called a subclass. That is also correct. Private members of a class can be inherited and accessed. This is totally wrong. Neither we can access the private members of a class, neither we can inherit them. Right? So this is totally correct. Inheritance incorrect. Right? Inheritance is one of the features of OOP. That is correct. Okay, that is correct. So the option which is wrong from the given options is option C. Okay. Let's move to the next question. So here a code is given to us and we have to determine the output of the given Python code. So the code is def. So we are defining two functions. So here we are defining two functions. One has been taken from a module mod 1 and another has been taken from a module mod 2. You can see here from mod 1 import complete, from mod 2 import complete. Right? So this one is from mod 1, this one is from mod 2. This is also complete function, this is also complete function. Next what we are doing, so this is what? A list. S is what? A list. Now we are passing this list to a complete function. Now what is the output of this particular Python code? For sure it is going to throw an error due to name clash. Due to name clash there will be an error. Why? Because see, although complete has been taken from different modules, right? This has been taken from mod 1 and this has been taken from mod 2, but we are using them in the same scope. So that is why Python will get confused that which complete function are we actually calling, this one or this one, right? So that is why due to name clash it is going to throw an error. I hope this is clear. Let's move to the next question. Here also you have to determine the output of the given code. So what we are doing here, we have two classes, class A and class B, and this class B is inheriting this class A, right? So basically class B is subclass and class A is, okay, class B is kind of, you can say, child class and class A is parent class. So it is inheriting class A. Okay, now what we are doing, we are instantiating our class B. Okay, we are instantiating our class B. So this is the object obj, this is the object of class B. Now this object is calling display function obj dot display. So first what will happen, Python will go to the class B, but here is no display function present. That's okay, it will go to the parent class. Here a display function has been defined. So what will be the output? A display is going to be the output. So a display is printed. If in the case a display function is defined here, so what will happen? The child class display function will be printed. But if here you can see no function regarding display has been defined here, so Python will go to the parent class and this output will be printed. Okay, so don't think that it is an error. For sure it is not an error. Let's move to the next question. The assignment of more than one function to a specified operator is, right? So what is the correct answer for this particular question? See, sometimes plus act as a concatenation operator, sometimes it acts as an addition operator, right? So the operator is same but it is giving different functionality. So what do you understand by this? It is operator overloading. That by using operator overloading we can do the assignment of a particular, of a specified operator. It can do more than one function. So operator overloading will be the correct answer. Now a code is given to you and you have to determine the output. So what we are doing, okay, don't think it's an error, the p is in small, right? So we are calling print POWE3. So we are calling this POWE function and passing 3 to it. But see, here we are having two arguments x and y, but we are passing nothing to y. So don't think it is going to be an error, because by default we have mentioned if we are not passing anything, so by default we have to consider y value as 2, right? So this 3 will be stored to x, so x equal to 3, and y equal to 2. Now we are running a loop here. So for I in range y, so for I in range y, what is the value of y? 2, right? So what will happen? R equal to 1. Initially they have given R equal to 1. So R equal to 1 into x. What is the value of x? 3, right? Now what will happen? I value will be decremented and now it will be 1. So again the loop will run. R value is going to be 3 into 3, right? Because x value is still 3. So again I will be decremented and now it is going to be 0. So we will come out of the loop. What is the value of R now? 9, right? So R will be returned, that is 9 will be printed. Next what we are doing? Now we are passing the values for both x and y. So now x is 3 and y is also 3. Okay, now again we will run the loop for I in range 3 because y value is 3 this time. So R is going to be R equal to 1 into 3, right? Again the loop will run. I value is going to be 2. So R equal to 3 into 3. Again the loop will run. It is going to be 1. R equal to 9 into 3. Again the loop will run. So it is I value is going to be 0. So we will come out of the loop. So what is the value of R? 27, right? So next 27 will be printed. So what is the output? 9 and on the next line 27. So this is going to be the output for this particular code. Okay. Let's move to the next question now. What is the use of id function in Python? So we have a function named as id in Python. So we have to determine its use. Id returns the size of object. Wrong. Id returns the identity of the object. This is correct. So identity, what id function? So the correct answer for this particular question is id function returns the identity of the object, right? So it is used to determine the identity of the object. Each object in the Python has its own unique identity so that we can recognize the object, right? So this option is wrong. The correct option is option B. Next question is, which of the given option is not a type of inheritance? So multi-level, this is a type of inheritance. Single level, also this is a type of inheritance. Multiple inheritance also we know, but double level, there is no such type of inheritance. So the correct answer for this question is double level. That is, it is not a type of inheritance. Let's see the next question, that we have to determine the output of the following piece of code. So here we have two classes, class A and class B, and you can see class B is the child class of class A. So here you can see some sort of inheritance is involved, right? Now we are defining objects for class A and object for class B. So OB1 is the object of class A and OB2 is the object of class B. Now we are doing OB1.2. OB1 is the object of class A. So we will see whether there is a function 2 or not in class A. So yes, we have this function. So A will be returned, right? A will be returned. Next we are calling OB2.2. OB2 is the object of class B, right? So is there a two function in class B? Yes, it is there. So B will be printed. So AB is going to be the correct answer for this particular question. If in the case this 2 is not defined here, so what Python will do, it will go to the parent class, and in that case A will be printed. But as if 2 function is defined in the class, so no need to go to the parent class. So the correct answer for this question is AB, right? So I hope all the questions that we discussed are clear, and if you really like this video, so make sure to like the video and make sure to comment how much is scored in the DBMS and Python part. Also keep learning guys. Make sure to subscribe both our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this video. Bye bye.